Thank you very much, everybody. My name is James Wilson, and I spent many years working for orchestras, which meant that when I went for a music administrator job, the chair of the panel asked me what instrument I played, and I said I don't play an instrument, and they found this a little bit weird, so kept on asking me, and I thought, oh, fuck it. So I said I play the double bass, and they said, and where do you perform? And I go, I don't. So I just said I have a French friend, and we play pseudo-Quebecois folk music at the Royal Festival Hall, which was sort of kind of true in that we used to go to the South Bank Centre, and we liked that sort of music, but we never ever played anything. And it's this idea of organisational determinism. I'm currently working for doing contract work with the London Fire Brigade, and everybody asked me, have you slid down a pole? And I said, no, I'm not a firefighter. Have you been in a fire engine? I said, no, we do other things. So I spent most of this century working for the Victoria and Albert Museum, and I have fuck all idea about curating. So when Steve said, I'm really sorry, but thanks for your application to be a speaker. You didn't quite make the grade. And I wasn't quite sure how to take that, but it was just sort of fine. He said, I love your work. Would you like to help? Would you like to curate an exhibition? I said, well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's a perfect antidote to having been made redundant by the Victoria and Albert Museum last year. So you are not going to be able to see Mr. Ian Tucknott, who is standing at the back. He's in the back row, but he's wearing a white shirt, and I don't think you'll be able to see him. I have to say, when I met Ian through a circuitous thing through Steve and the City of Lit, Ian was running lots of courses, and I think he still does, but he's now a head of humanities and sciences. And that just shows you what interacting with an Inexpert event can happen to your own career, that you can have this real huge promotion. Anyway, we just sort of said, yeah, this sounds like a good idea, why not? And we're not sure what we're going to do. I didn't really do anything until about 2 weeks ago, other than sort of get in touch every now and again and saying, hi, Ian, should we look at something? He was running a course, he's still running a course, which I think is called Contemporary Practice, Professional Project, which is for practicing artists. Now, I don't know whether they're professional, whether they sell stuff or not, whether they do it for themselves, but they are artists. And their project this last term has been play or playfulness, which, you know, just purely by coincidence chimes in with some of the aspects and some of the things we think about inexpertitude. And so I just said, I'll come along to one of the sessions, and I went to their session, and they brought in work which they thought was Inexpert. So I just had 3 questions. What is it? My favourite one, I think, and one of Steve's is, it's the backside of a giraffe, which when it was cast, just fell apart. And so these are sorts of things which people had, an intention to make, and then they didn't come out by any things. Oh, it's a lovely other piece. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, which is, so I'm trying to do this image of a chair, and it was sort of quite interesting, the media, but the chair's not in it. So they had really tried to make something, and they had they had a vision, they had technique, whether it was casting or drawing or painting or sculpting, and yet it didn't work. And I invited them just to bring what they're hearing. So first question is, what is it? Second question is, why is it Inexpert? Well, it fell apart and crumbled. It's a brilliant galleon, a sort of Tudor galleon, which has been cast out of Jesmonite. You wouldn't know that at all, because it just completely failed to turn out there. I thought it was a bone. some big bone which he'd found in the street. But no, apparently, and the whole class took a whole day to make this thing, and it's thing. So, and then I asked them, if you were to sell it, what price would you put on it? So when you go outside, and you may have seen it, there's a vitrine, which I now know is a glass case, which has got some objects in it, and there are some 2D, that means flat things, which I found out, on the wall as well. They're all numbered, and there is a list on the walls of the pieces, what they're called, if they're called anything. Some of them are called untitled. There's at least one which is missing and one which was never given a title untitled, or any title at all. They range in price from 5 pence to £5,000. Some are from generously loaned from private collections. Ian, could you actually just sort of come down? Because Ian is taking on the role of dealer. So I'm a curator, and in the purity of the former curator, I have no interest in money whatsoever. So, but as some of the pieces of work are here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the head of Humanities and Science at City Lit, Mr. Ian Tucknott. Ian has been fantastic in pitching this idea to the artists. You just stand there and you can say something, but otherwise just look embarrassed. I was on the thing. I saw 24 pieces of work, and I basically just said, so what is it? What do you want? Why is it Inexpert? And what's the price? And then saying, I'll have it in the exhibition. So every piece that was presented is in the exhibition. And Ian, I wrote a catalogue, and then Ian said that most of his students thought it was much more interesting than the ones they've got to do for their real exhibition. And Ian photocopied it all up and then stapled it quite well. And so it's out there, and you can have a look at the catalogue. Steve's put the catalogue and all the images of all the pieces up on the Can Scorpions Smoke website, the Inexpert website. This is, so all curators have a notebook. This is a really nice one, which I got from a video company I was working with. And I think I've only used about 12 pages because I didn't have very many notes to write. Some of those are in the catalogue. So if you want to know how to put on an Inexpert exhibition yourselves, there's a how to do it at the front. But this is going to be the box office desk. There are 2 pens here and other pens, and I would be delighted if you would like to leave comments about the exhibition. And if you want to buy anything, and I know there's some pieces which people have really got their eyes on, you're going to have to talk to the dealer, Mr. Ian Tucknott. So to stop you, we all need to have a break now, but I'd just like to say thank you very much to Steve for allowing me to do this. Thank you to all the artists. Thank you to you for looking at things. And I would just like to just have a round of applause for Ian for having made this actually happen.